Yo, what's going on? This is Kurt and I'm back for another video. Today, the topic of my video is the Dragon Master Richard Pryor. That's right. Richard Pryor was a Dragon Master. So, the topic of the video today is Richard Pryor, the Dragon Master, redeeming the Demiurge. I want to speak about at this point what we have to start doing, because in one of my first videos I came out and I said, yo niggas, stop the fucking bullshit. You are the Demiurge, you are the Archons. A lot of niggas took offense to that. They got very in their feelings. They didn't like it specifically. It is what it is. But you have to understand that when masters come, based on the era, they have to use certain devices to take your mind from one lower concept to a higher concept. But the higher concept is not the end all be all. So most of you people were in the church. So the masters had to take your mind. I'm talking about the Dr. Phil Valentines, the Dr. Delbert Blairs, the Bobby Hemmings, the Brother Panics. They have to take those devices to take your mind out of making Satan the adversary or the only adversary or the devil, and gave you a more pristine, a more ancient way of thinking. However, that ancient way of thinking was still limited. It was a metaphor. There is nothing outside of you that is the Demiurge. You are the Demiurge. I am the Demiurge. We carry the Demiurge within us. And our mission is to redeem our brother, our self, our reflection, our lower self, which is also a part of our higher self, the Demiurge. One of the masters who came down from a very, very high, I wouldn't even call it a dimension, from a very high plateau, a very high state of being, was the Master Dragon Richard Pryor. Now, when we talk about human thought, what are we exactly speaking about? When we're talking about the human thought, the human experience is the worst thing. You're hearing something from Bobby, you're hearing something from Panic, you're hearing something from Dr. Phil Valentine for years and years and years. You got to take whatever they give you and find your own understanding. You got to find what are they meaning by human thought. So the same principle applies. In the Arabic language, when they want to call somebody a disbeliever, they call him a kafir. Kafir means to cover up. Therefore, what was the greatest act of covering up? Apparently, when it comes to the Gnostics, creation was the first act of covering up. But why did the Demiurge create? Or why did the Demiurge start creating? Creation is the act of an insecure being with no self-knowledge. Creation is the act of covering up. Creation is the act of justification and of covering and hiding behind things until one knows or remembers that they are nothing, so that there is nothing to cover up. In the Gnostic story goes that Sophia, the great mother, she tries to peer towards the horizon, and she tries to create based on what she sees. However, she fails. And what happens? What is born? The Demiurge is born. But you can understand the mentality of a people. You can understand the non-thinking of a people based on what they say. How are you niggas blaming the Demiurge for Sophia's mistake? How would you blame a crack baby for his mother smoking crack, making him a crack baby? So not only you blame the Demiurge because of Sophia's mistake, But you say, oh, look at these crack babies and these archons, because the Demiurge, he's the leader of the crack babies, and the archons are his proxy crack babies. And then the mother, who is the one smoking the crack, comes in and she says, oh, yo, be careful, that's my son, he's evil. Let me give you a spark of light so that my son cannot be an impediment to your personal development. How stupid does that sound? And yet, niggas wanna blame the Demiurge. Niggas wanna blame the archons. Not one person that I know of is wise enough to say, wait a second, it's Sophia's fault. Why the fuck was she trying to create? Why the fuck was she trying to create when it wasn't her place to create? So then, Sophia is the cause, the Demiurge is the effect, but we're supposed to blame the Demiurge? The innocent one in that story, if you want to really get into it? So now, what does Demiurge mean? Demiurge means half maker. I want you to, again, like Bobby said, sublime mythology historicalized. What or who makes something from half? What do we say are opposites? The yin and the yang. The masculine and the feminine. The moon and the sun. The day and the night. If you go in the tarot, you have the Hermit card, which is the 10th card. You see the Hermit, he's in the darkness and he's holding a light. And he's following the light. However, this light that he's following is his limited understanding. Therefore, the light that he's holding is nothing but the smallest portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, which is visible light. And all around him is darkness, but the darkness is the true light. However, he cannot see it. Therefore, he is the half maker stuck on one type of light. That's the Demiurge. Now, how does he get stuck in this predicament? You have to understand, I told you guys, you as the mind of the divine child, you want to play. You enter this game. So you are the absolute as the child. Your mind or your imagination as a child becomes an independent dragon. Therefore, you project yourself in the game. Now, when you enter the game, you enter a body or you enter something called life. And this is where the entire game of the Demiurge starts. You got to pay attention. Just think rationally. Just think like a nigga. Just think rationally. The reason, who in the world always has half of a story? Children. The source of all demiurges, children. Because as a child, you do not have access to the entire darkness of this realm. This realm is foreign to you. This realm is new to you. The only thing you know, like the hermit, is what your mom tells you. Now, for instance, my mom leaves me at my father's house for 5 days. I don't want to be there. I'm in love with my mom as a child like all children were. I'm mad. I don't understand. If she loves me, how can she leave me there? And she said she would come in 5 days. She comes in 7 days. Remember, at this age or at a young age or at the age of a child, you are the love that you have, which is real, true cosmic love, is beyond time and space. You cannot bear with the feeling of being alienated and of not understanding this being that you're one with, that you're connected with. How could she betray you? How could she say she was going to come in 5 days, but she comes in 7? The pain is unbearable. This is when you become the demiurge. You become the demiurge by trying to explain a reality that you don't fucking understand. By trying to explain pain that you can't even put an intellectual concept on to be able to bear with it. Why you think people, when they can't deal with anything, they need a higher power? So they go to church, they go to Islam, they go to Christianity. As a child, you did not have any recourse, none of those things as a higher power. What you had an underdeveloped intellect, but your underdeveloped intellect did not have enough data for you to come to proper conclusions. Hence, the world you created was a half world with half of the information. That's how you became the demiurge. Then, when the demiurge looks up and he says, there's no creator other than me, he's saying, no, for me to survive the trauma as a child, I need to create my realm with my rules, and there is no one or nothing above me. I am the highest God in creation. And so who are the archons? The archons are nothing but your thoughts and the cause and effect relationships you explain and you create within yourself to explain the world around you. I am the demiurge, and I redeem the demiurge because I understand that. So all you niggas talking about archons, demiurge, you missing the point. So I don't start creating because I'm inherently arrogant. I start creating because as a being who has been exiled from perfection, which is being with my mother, and with a reasoning faculty that is very limited, I start using intellect to explain stuff away. The true exiled one is not the Gnostic. The true exiled one is the demiurge. The one who was cast out of the perfection is the demiurge. In Arabic, the word for disbeliever is kafir. Kafir means to cover up. Now, wouldn't you want to cover up? Wouldn't you want to protect yourself? Wouldn't you want to hide behind veils and coverings? When your mother, which is Sophia, found you to be repugnant, she was so ashamed of you. You were an abortion, and she tried to hide you out of shame. The source of your existence is shame. Why the fuck wouldn't you hide? Why the fuck wouldn't you create trees, the sky, lions, everything, just to make you feel good about yourself? Because it's not even your fault that you're here, but now you're considered a shameful being. She was ashamed of you. You're an abortion. No. As the demiurge, I said, you know what, fuck that. I'm going to create. I'm going to show that I'm worthy. So now what happens? Listen to the gods when the gods speak. What did J. Cole said? J. Cole said in the song, It Cost Me a Lot, we rock a lot of ice because we got a lot of pain. He's basically saying rappers adorn themselves with a lot of jewelry, and the metaphor is ice because when you're injured, you put ice on your injury. We rock a lot of ice because we got a lot of pain. That sentence in itself tells you what is going on within the psyche of the demiurge to create. He's creating out of pain. And this is where we get into Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor was creating out of the pain of a child that was abused, out of the pain of a child that was rejected, that was hurt. And he was giving you dragon wisdom because dragon wisdom is truth. Richard Pryor was tapping into this painful disposition of a child and bearing his soul on the stage for humanity to see. That's how Richard Pryor was redeeming the Demiurge. So now, when we get into the Matrix, again, niggas will listen. Neo weak as fuck, Morpheus weak as fuck, Trinity weak as fuck. So now, when niggas look at the Matrix, like, oh, the architect is the Demiurge and blah. Yo, the architect has zero fucking power. The architect is weak. Remember what I told you. The Demiurge creates out of pain, out of shame. The architect creates out of pain, out of shame. He's trying to create perfection for humanity because the inherent flaw is within his shame, because he is ashamed of where he comes from because he was rejected by his mother. So all of his posturing is a tribute to his shameful genesis. So niggas wanna, Neo comes in front of the architect. Remember I told you, the 10 card in the tarot. This is the architect. He only understands his world from the perspective of this limited light, which is the fucking tree of life, which is Aleph, which is the bullshit. So now he understands his world from this perspective. So obviously, when human ass Neo comes, when Morpheus, who's a preacher, comes and they look at the architect, they're like, oh man, he's so strong, blah, 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 blah. Why? Because they represent an aspect of the human mind who follows the Demiurge or who follows the architect because they're in the realm of light. They're not seeing the entire black light or in the entire dark light that's within and that's all around. So he has power over them. If you put the architect, so now the architect is like, oh, well, you know, this is the thousandth matrix, and there's always this inherent flaw, and we're trying to create that. He's in control. You put ODB and the Wu-Tang niggas, them chaos niggas, in the same room as the architect, all of his posturing is gonna be dead. You know why? Because ODB gonna say, I'm the Osiris of this shit. And the architect, based on his Demiurge nature, he can only see the light. So he's gonna logically try to explain, how the fuck this guy, he's from Brooklyn, he's part of a collective called the Wu-Tang Clan, Osiris was an Egyptian. How can he say he's the Osiris of this shit? Do you know how he could say he's the Osiris of this shit? Because he's tapping into the Kalipoth, which is your divine DNA, the divine DNA of all deities, the divine DNA of the Necronomicon, your ancient ancestors. So the tree of life is nothing but the test. And when the architect is going to create, what's going to happen? The Matrix is all about the Demiurge's initiation. On one hand, yes, I have compassion for the Demiurge. But on the other hand, Sophia, the great mother, knows that this shit is not real. She knows that the front side of the tree of light is not real. She knows that the tree of life ain't shit. That's why she's smoking her cigarette on the bench park. She knows that that nigga, the architect, is going to have to make his way eventually through incarnation, which they call the rebootings of the Matrix. He's going to have to make his way back to the dark light or the Kalipoth, where all the ancient ancestral knowledge resides for him to truly start his alchemy. So he's not going to be thinking, yo, am I an ancient god? But how? Because again, he's stuck in the light. He going to be able to say like, ODB, I'm the Osiris of this shit. That's the mystery. So she knows that the nigga, i.e. the architect, is going to have to make his way back to darkness, i.e. the Kalipoth, into the ancestral realm. Why do you think she's sitting on the bench park not worried, smoking her cigarette? Because the more he creates worlds, those are getting him more and more wisdom until he understands that the flaw is not in creation or even within him, because he also has the spark of the Divine Mother. The flaw is not even in humanity. The flaw is in the light. The light is the flaw. Again, go watch the tarot card, the Hermit. He's looking at the light, but he can't see the real light around him because of his shameful disposition. So that means that the light represented by the Hermit, who is surrounded by dark light, is the true enemy, but because he's stuck by numbers, he's stuck by rationality, he's stuck on logic, he's stuck on intellect, he can only see the light. But when through sexual alchemy, when through tantra, when through any spiritual system, he is able to burn away its light. As soon as this light burns out, boom, whatever was in the darkness will become the light. I.e., he's destroying the tree of light and making his way into the DNA. This is the Qalipoth. You will never, ever, ever, listen. You will never have access to the Qalipoth as long as you are or you haven't redeemed the Demiurge within yourself. That means that all your intellectualizing, all your philosophizing, all your debating, it ain't gonna work. You have to destroy the light within yourself, and the only way you can do that is by redeeming the Demiurge. And once that happens, now you are worthy of actually exploring the DNA, the billions and billions of years of information contained within the DNA. You think this thing is worth something, but what every being who's really evolving wants, they want access to the Qalipoth, which is the DNA. But to be able to have access to the Qalipoth, a being like the architect, for example, will have to be purified by Qalipothic demons, let's say in the form of an ODB. He's going to have to go through all those types of chaotic energies to understand that his little fickle light doesn't hold a candle. You cannot bring that to the realm of the gods, the true chaos beings, the titans, the dragons. So, all this video was to say, it's time you stop blaming the Demiurge, blaming the Archon, and realize you are the Demiurge, you are the Archon. That's one level. Now you have to redeem the Demiurge, redeem the Archons, because like Brother Yosef was saying, at one point when you enter the Qalipoth, all the light that is dark eventually becomes light, and you actually see. And this is what we're talking about, your ancient DNA. The only thing you're doing here in this realm is making yourself worthy of accessing your ancestral DNA, i.e. the Qalipoth. All right? So that was the video today. Start redeeming, enlightening, connecting to, understanding the Demiurge within you. All right, so comment, share, like, and subscribe. Peace.